The 4-bag dripped steadily into my son's line, each drop meant to sustain his fragile life. But that night, I discovered someone had poisoned it. My name is Daniel Harper, a federal judge, though my neighbors never suspected my profession until their hatred nearly cost me everything. I'm sharing this story because no child should suffer for someone's spite, and what unfolded in our idyllic suburb will haunt me forever. We moved to Willow Creek seeking peace. My son, Ethan, 7 years old, was born with a rare condition that starves his body of nutrients without constant force support. The neighborhood seemed perfect: neat lawns, smooth sidewalks for his wheelchair, and a quiet charm I thought would cradle us. But I hadn't counted on Margaret, the HOA president, a woman whose obsession with perfection would unravel our lives. Margaret was a vision of suburban control, pressed blouses, immaculate hair, and a smile that never reached her eyes. Her first visit came days after we settled in. "We value order here," she said, eyeing the ramp we'd built for Ethan. "I trust you'll comply with our rules." Her gaze lingered on our specialized van, her lips pursing as if it offended her. I brushed it off, too consumed with Ethan's care and my caseload to see the storm brewing. Trouble started small. Margaret fixated on our medical deliveries boxes of 4 fluids and equipment stacked briefly on our porch. Unapproved clutter, she called it, demanding HOA forms for Ethan's life-sustaining supplies. She posted notices about unsightly modifications and slipped flyers into our mailbox preaching neighborhood aesthetics. Once, she berated our nurse for parking too long. The audacity of it targeting a sick child's care stung, but I was juggling court cases and Ethan's doctor visits, so I tried to stay calm. Ethan felt the tension. "Dad, am I making people mad?" he'd ask, his voice small. It broke me to see him blame himself. I'd hug him and say, "You're perfect, buddy. Some people just don't understand." But Margaret's campaign intensified. A forged HOA letter arrived, warning that our disruptive medical deliveries threatened the community's pristine integrity. My wife, Emily, read it with tears in her eyes. "Why us?" she whispered. I had no answer, only resolve to protect our home. The harassment escalated. Our trash cans were tipped over nightly. A note on my windshield sneered, "You're ruining this place." Margaret's shadow loomed everywhere, her sharp grin flashing whenever she caught me outside. She issued citations for trivial violations, like a small dove statue by Ethan's ramp, a symbol he said made him feel safe. Inappropriate yard decor, she claimed, but I knew it was personal. She hated that we dared exist in her flawless domain. I tried reasoning with the HOA board, but Margaret dominated them, her voice slicing through dissent. Frustrated, I told Ethan, "Never hide who you are." His anxiety grew. He started asking to cover his forced stand when neighbors visited. Emily and I decided to fight back. As a judge, I knew the law was on our side. I installed security cameras and began documenting every notice, every threat. Margaret's attacks grew bolder. She cited us for noise violations from the faint hum of Ethan's pump. She spread rumors that our medical waste endangered the neighborhood. Neighbors began avoiding us, their whispers cutting deep. One night, a voicemail from Margaret hissed, "This isn't a hospital. Remove that ramp or face consequences." Fear and fury churned inside me. Who threatens a child's lifeline? I compiled evidence meticulously, knowing a single misstep could undermine our case. At an HOA meeting, I presented the forged letters, her signature barely concealed. Margaret scoffed, accusing me of fabricating lies. "The guidelines are fair," she insisted, her eyes daring anyone to defy her. I ended with a warning. The law applies to everyone, even HOA members. A few neighbors later confessed they feared her retaliation, revealing a community paralyzed by her reign. Ethan's health demanded constant vigilance. His new 4 regimen left him exhausted, yet he clung to his stuffed bear, whispering, "I'm strong, Dad." Meanwhile, Margaret's sabotage turned sinister. Our water line was tampered with, a crude M scratch nearby. Then, a stone crashed through our window, a note attached, "Get out." I cleaned the glass before Ethan could see, but dread gripped me. This wasn't just harassment, it was a war. I added more cameras and alerted a detective friend, keeping my judicial role quiet. Anonymity had let Margaret underestimate us, but it also left us vulnerable. We moved Ethan's forced setup to a secure corner of the living room. Our nurse noticed our paranoia. "Why so cautious?" she asked. I mentioned HOA trouble, withholding the full truth. Strange incidents piled up. Doorbell rings with no one there, a hooded figure on camera, our license plate stolen with "Go Away" carved into our mailbox. The breaking point came one Sunday. Emily was reading to Ethan when the doorbell rang twice. The camera showed a figure fleeing, but no one was there. Minutes later, Ethan cried, "Dad, the 4 looks wrong." The fluid was cloudy, tinged blue. Panic seized me. That bag was sealed, untouched. We disconnected it, sealed it for evidence, and called 911. Ethan sobbed, sensing the danger. Paramedics confirmed he was stable but rushed him to the hospital. Police found no forced entry, hinting at a key, possibly an HOA spare. At the hospital, I held Ethan's hand, rage simmering beneath my calm facade. This was attempted murder. Back home, I scoured the footage. At 5:02 p.m., the door opened. A woman slipped in Margaret, her posture unmistakable. For 20 seconds, she hovered by the 4, injecting something before vanishing. Nausea hit me. I shared the clip with the detective, who called it life-threatening. An arrest warrant followed, but Margaret had fled, hiding in her pristine home. Police stormed her property after she refused to surrender. They found her cowering upstairs. Toxicology tests revealed bleach and detergent in the 4-fluid, a lethal dose if Ethan had received it fully. The neighborhood reeled. Neighbors who'd ignored us brought food, their apologies tinged with guilt. Ethan spent a week recovering, his frail body fighting the toxin's effects. Emily and I stayed by his side, reading stories, hiding our own fear. Margaret's trial was a spectacle. The evidence footage, the 4 bag, her HOA key was damning. When her lawyer learned I was a federal judge, their defense crumbled. Margaret claimed a breakdown, saying she only meant to stop the IVs beeping. But the video showed her precision, her malice. The jury's disgust was palpable. She was convicted of attempted murder and sentenced to years behind bars. As a judge, I stayed composed, but relief flooded me. Ethan was safe. The HOA collapsed amid lawsuits. A new committee formed, vowing inclusivity. They wrote rules protecting families like ours. Margaret's home, foreclosed, became a care facility for disabled kids. A poetic twist. Neighbors rallied around Ethan, lining our street with signs. "We're with you." He smiled, his first real joy in months. We stayed, reclaiming our home. Ethan's ramp now blooms with flowers, a gift from a neighbor who said, "This belongs here." Yet the memory of that night lingers. Margaret's cruelty exposed a truth. Prejudice can lurk behind manicured lawns. But our community's redemption proved stronger. At Ethan's 8th birthday, we threw a block party, neighbors celebrating the boy they'd nearly lost. I still serve as a judge, driven to shield the vulnerable. Ethan's 4 hums each night, a reminder of his fight in our victory. What do you think? Was Margaret's punishment enough? Should HOAs dictate medical needs? Share your thoughts. This story isn't just ours, it's a warning. Cruelty thrives in silence, but courage and unity can shatter it. Ethan's smile, his ramp, our home theory, proof that love prevails.